Come on, at the round table show. Come on. That's what I'm
Man, there
talking
you go.
about, Fred. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh
Get
man,
it,
here we
man.
go.
Get it.
I was thinking about redoing that intro, but I digress. What's going on, everybody? It's the At the Roundtable podcast show. I don't know if maybe I need to change my voice now. I'm getting picked at, but
Oh no. That was a compliment, man. That was a compliment.
Compliment.
Yeah.
oh man, that was okay. So that's the voice. That is the what is it? What was that show that we used to listen to on the radio? What is it? The radio show, man.
Midnight
Quiet
Storm.
Storm.
Well, yeah,
There
Quiet
you
Storm.
go. Yeah, that was it. I was motivated and moved by the Quiet Storm, so that's the reason why. But probably have to do it again. Do something more up and coming, some 21st century type stuff.
Nah, we're gonna leave that alone.
Okay.
You're right there.
So, family, thank you for joining us on At the Roundtable podcast show. I get the opportunity on Wednesday to hang out with some very cool people. Over to the side is over here is the woman. She's the Wonder Woman of the group, or if you want to say Storm from the X-Men, or who else? There's some other women that we can name her after, but she is commonly known as the Pitbull in the dress. Miss Pitbull. It is Melissa Bartlett. What's going on, sis?
Hey family, how are you? I have the giggles today because I came on cutting up, guys. So you already know. And then we have our family, our sister Liz, the sexpert, come on the show tonight.
Yeah.
So I am like excited. Let me tell you guys, I had a day. So I needed, as I always say, needed to plug in with my brothers, plug in with the family to get my Wednesday off of me. So hey, Money,
Yes,
go
ma'am.
ahead and tell the people how you feeling today and introduce our guest so I can get prepared for the show.
Oh, well, it's all good. That's all I can say. It's all good. Everything is everything. Ready. I'm excited about the night show as well. So, last introduction, the man in the bottom left-hand corner, one that stirs the drink himself, the conductor himself, CD.
All right. It's great to be here again today. So, hey, Money, our guest really needs no introduction. But every time she comes on, it's just, man, we learn something new. I know I do.
All the time.
And I know my wife is happy because I learned. So,
Yay.
It's half the battle. So, once again, coming to the stage, this is the People's Podcast. So, she is the People's Sexologist. Tonight, we have joining us is Liz Mallers. Welcome back.
hey.
Family, I got my candle. I'm getting ready to light it up so Liz can keep my head focused on what to do. Light up the candle.
Setting that
What flavor is it? What flavor is it?
This is raspberry mimosa.
Raspberry mimosa.
Wow. Okay, now.
I don't even have candle around here. I should have candle. Put that on my list.
Man.
Well, hello. I'm so happy to be here. I've missed y'all. I've missed y'all. Same with Melissa. I have had a day, and this is still work for me technically. But I was just telling my husband, I'm like, man, I'm so happy I have this podcast tonight because it really is just like such great hosts. I can just chill, relax, have a nice little conversation, talk sex stuff. And this is perfect. Perfect way to round out my day.
Nice.
Yes. So tonight, everybody, if you join us on At the Round Table, we have Liz Mallers on. And if y'all don't know, she is the sexpert. And in previous shows, she has shared with us and our viewers some amazing things dealing with sex. And it's not a bad word, as she will tell you. And there's a couple other things you will learn as well, a lot of the taboos and stuff. But tonight, there's one topic that has come up. Matter of fact, the name of this show was very interesting. And shouts out to Pitbull for coming up with the name. And it made me sit back and I was like, oh, this is going to be very interesting. Because she says sexy after 40. Could there be? Can you be sexy after 40?
Absolutely.
Oh,
okay. I digress.
Because I am way over 40. Thank you very much. Close
You
to
are?
50. You sure can.
Shut your mouth.
I was born in 75. Do the math. Care to two.
Gotcha.
It is totally possible, though. It's not only possible, it's very likely to be extremely sexy after 40.
Really? Mm-hmm. So okay. So I get to ask the first question. No, I'll hold it. I forgot.
Ladies first. Yeah,
ladies first.
Let's switch this up.
I'm gonna go right. We're gonna do something different today. We're talking about switching stuff up and going to new levels and heights and sexiness and not keeping it the same, right?
Oh,
okay.
We're gone, CD. Let's get it.
Okay, so how can you be sexy after 40? What causes? I mean, because there's always these numbers when it comes to sex, as far as when men peak, how women are more mature, and things of that nature. So when the 40 number comes into play, how can one be sexy after 40?
That is kind of a loaded question, because are you talking sexy like your sexual self-confidence, or are you talking sexy like your sex life with your long-term partner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I'll bite.
Okay,
I'll go with the sexiness, the overall, like the outer, the feeling. We won't. I'll let Mel handle the other part of it, or A Money, but say the I feel, like that song. I'm too sexy for my,
Yeah. Well, okay, so sex after 40 and your sexuality after 40 is different, and it's a whole different conversation than sex under 40, because of life and how we grow, and getting older, and 40 is like the milestone of that. Your body changes. Your hormones are different, I don't care what gender you are, your hormones are going to be differing. So for men, they typically lose testosterone. I think it's when they are 20, they lose 1% of their testosterone every year or something like that. And then it speeds up it like grows as you get older. Don't quote me on that, but so men are having a lower testosterone output, and that's responsible for your libido. And so getting ready to go is a little bit harder and less motivated for some men. And for women, in terms of hormones, that's typically when menopause starts to occur, or perimenopause. So lots of fluctuating hormones there. And specifically with your estrogen and your testosterone, because women still have testosterone. So our libidos are going to be a little bit different. But because our estrogen is going down, our testosterone is a little bit more prevalent. And so women actually feel this, can feel this surge in their libido. So that's the tricky part with men and women, is their libidos kind of mismatch around 40 sometimes and 60. But in terms of feeling sexually self-confident, your body's changing a lot. Your metabolism is slowing down, or you're getting, you have medical ailments happening, or aches and pains are growing by the minute, So that is where it is really important for you to be in tune with your health, especially your cardiovascular health, because without great blood flow, you're not going to have good blood flow to the parts that need to be engorged with blood in order for them to work in the sexual. So your endurance and just sexual response can be affected by all of these factors, plus lots of others, and that can definitely have an effect on your self-confidence in terms of like performance, or your body image, or if you're feeling pain, that's gonna not really motivate you to do something active that may worsen that pain.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're doing something pleasurable, you don't feel pain as much. So you can almost kind of spin it to be like, well, if you masturbate or have sex with your partner or something, then it's actually an actual painkiller. So you can kind of twist it around like that. But
Jedi
so
mind trick.
Huh?
I said she gave us a Jedi mind trick. Woo-hoo.
She did. Because she dispelled that. Now, see, I'm glad she said it. So that, honey, I have a headache thing. Don't need no Tylenol.
It's out the window now.
That's not to say. Let's invalidate those people. But yeah. So in terms of like your sexual self-confidence, it definitely can play a factor into it. But I will say many couples who have been together long term, especially couples who have children, typically around 40, 50, the kids are a little bit more self-sufficient, or maybe the couple is becoming empty nesters and they have more time to focus back on themselves and each other. And this is an incredible opportunity for couples to reconnect, because so much might have changed in terms of like what they like, what they don't like. Melissa, you were just saying before we went live how your palate for food might be different, which is true. I've heard, your taste buds reset every 7 years or something, right? So same with sex. I mean, there's not like a 7-year reset, but it evolves over time.
That's funny, because I was having a conversation with some women and we were talking about like being young and like, okay, I remember, me and my husband used to do this, and oh my God, I can't imagine doing that now. And one of the ladies was like, he does XYZ. And I used to like that, like when we were dating, and now it annoys me. It like gets me out the mood. And so she was kind of like, she didn't know how to tell him, which is one of the questions that I got tonight was, when your sex palette changes. She just wanted advice, or it can go for anyone.
Right.
How to tell your partner, hey, that doesn't do it for me. Right. And should you come with an alternative?
Yes. Okay. Great question. It's a very scary thing to talk about sex with your partner. Doing it's one thing, but then to have a conversation, that's like kind of a scary different level because this is not just like, here I am opening my physical body to you, but this is like, here I am telling you my wants and needs and desires and fantasies, and it's like it exposes yourself on a different level, which can be really scary. So before you go into it, take a deep breath and applaud yourself for knowing yourself well enough to realize that you need something to change. Your interests have changed. That's okay. Sit with that. Make sure that you're cool with that, and like be fine with it. So don't like put pressure on yourself like that. And then definitely have a conversation with your partner, even if it's a conversation of like, hey, these are the things that are going really well. Love this stuff. These other things that have been really working for me in the past, I don't know what it is. I just, I think my appetite's changing for something a little new. Maybe I need a little refresh. You know how you do the, I don't know, you can just, the thing that you do over and over and over and over, it gets boring and mundane. So not to say that sexual activity that this person's going through is bored with it, but if she's just looking for, or if anybody's just looking for a little novelty in their relationship or sexual activity, present it in a way that you would want it presented to you. So if your partner is coming up to you and being like, I don't like that, don't do that anymore. obviously you're not going to receive that very well. But you can do the sandwich method where you have a compliment, issue, compliment, So like,
oh, that's cute. Okay.
Yeah. Some people call it stroke, kick, stroke.
Stroke, kick, stroke. I like the sandwich. I'm a foodie.
Me too.
I'll remember that better.
Yeah. So compliment, this is what's going well. This is what might be a little different, but I really like it when you do this. So maybe you could do something more like that, little sandwich in there.
Okay.
So, that's what I would say. And just being honest and being open to then feedback, because if you open the door to this, your partner might have some notes for you as well. Their appetite may have changed too.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You should ask them too. That shows a level of trust and communication, right? And that also it takes the finger and the blame off of your partner.
Okay.
It's very good. I like that. Wow.
I'll save my next question for my next go round. Hey, Money, you like you got something. You look like you got something on your mind. Got something to say, hey, Money?
He said, hey man, hold on. You said that side. Like, you know how when you get called in class from teacher? And it's like, I was back here by myself doing good.
I give him a hard time. I know
for real.
Yeah.
It's all good though. But for our guests that's joining us and watching us live right now, today we do again have Liz Mallers joining us, sexologist. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask, or inquiries, or just thought-provoking thoughts that you want to throw out there, now's the time to do it. So Liz, you was actually talking about menopause. So going through those stages, is it something that you can do to help with the keeping it going as far as the flow of you connecting with each other?
Yes. Menopause is a tricky one because it's different for every woman. You don't really know how you're going to react to it, and her partner is not going to know really what's going on. And but there's so much you can do. If you I'm not suggesting to take sex off the table, but if we forget about intercourse for a second and we just think about intimacy, that is what I tell my clients all the time. I shouldn't say hardly use the word sex, but I use the word intimacy more than I use the word sex with my clients, because that's really what it's about. It's not about, P to V and getting off. It's about connecting and forging this bond with your partner that's special between just you two, or other people if you're open relationship. But you know what I mean? So with menopause and just over 40 in general, I would really stress, well, any couple ever, but I would really stress if there's things like we said, like medical ailments or physical barriers that are keeping us from having actual intercourse. Focus on how else can you connect with intimacy? How else can you grow? What does intimacy even look like to you aside from intercourse? Like holding hands, sitting on the couch, prolonged eye contact, having dinner together instead of in front of a television. Do you like to do puzzles together and listen to music? I mean, anything like cooking together, trying a new recipe, or going on a bike ride. So any ways that you can keep your intimacy alive when you're not actually having sex is going to be very key in keeping the heat alive, like underneath your daily lives. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yes, indeed. Shouts out to Robert Connor and Charlie Toots. Charlie Toots said, intimacy is a focus. Tell them again, Liz.
Yes, it sure is. It is. seriously, I do say the word intimacy more than sex. It's just even intimacy with yourself. We were talking about how you need to focus on your sexual self-confidence. Intimacy with yourself, like taking a bath with yourself and just like centering yourself and figuring out like, okay, what does my body need? Maybe you haven't gotten back in touch with yourself in a long time because you're busy. And when you think about doing any kind of sexy stuff, you like just go to your partner and that's in your routine to do it together. Maybe you do need to focus back on yourself and for the person you were telling me about, Mel, maybe this person is losing interest in what her partner is doing because maybe she's just distracted or, thinking about what's going wrong or like she's too much in her head.
Right.
Get her back into her body, like in the present moment. So maybe it's the kind of thing too, where she needs to take a beat, be intimate with herself, whether that's actually like solo sex or, things like the bubble bath or like meditation or something. And like tune back in, check out what's going on. It is a very, very personal thing that we choose to share with a partner. So
I like that. Because you need to be one together before you can share that with someone. And I think the ultimate connection, ultimate sex, or intimate experience is the fact that whatever amount you pulling out to share, they're also putting into you sharing. Like that's when you have that like cosmic connection. So my question that I have here is another woman stated that her sexual drive is higher. My sexual drive is higher than my husband's. He says that all I do is think about sex. I feel like my sexual desires and physical needs may be taking over intimacy. I know that there's no way to dull down what I feel. However, I am frustrated on him not meeting me. What can I do?
That is so common. Differing libidos. As I said, especially for the 40 and 60-year-old-ish women with male partners. Well, being clear with your partner about where you're at is the first step, like just having that open line of communication and letting your partner know, like, look, my hormones are growing crazy and I'm very like wound up all the time and I'm ready to go whenever you are, just so you know, let them know where you're at, but don't get frustrated if they're not going to meet you there. Because like I said, it's a very personal thing and they're going through something different. Their libido is starting to tank. So what you can do for your friend is, like I said, focus on intimacy with yourself a little bit. Think about ways in which you can connect like sensually together. I know I was talking about like intimately, so this is still intimacy, but like a sensual connection, like deep conversation, or even talking about sexy stuff together. Like, what would you want to do with me, next time we do engage in sexual activity? What do you want to? Sometimes just talking about it gets you going. Your brain is your biggest sex organ. Your orgasm always happens up here. You just feel it somewhere else. So if you start talking and stimulating your brain and getting your brain on it, that can help. Also, for her partner to naturally raise your testosterone, which raises your libido, exercise is great for raising your libido, testosterone. And I hate saying it like this, but like forcing yourself to, have sex or masturbate, or not forcing yourself like in a way that's harmful to you, but just encouraging yourself, saying, you know what, I'm gonna give it a go, because sometimes you get into it once you're into it, and the more you do it and the more orgasms you have, that also raises your testosterone. So it's a
Say it ain't so.
You what?
Say it ain't so.
So basically, go ahead and do it.
Hey guys, y'all know I'm nuts, right?
Yep.
So she's like, encourage yourself. So I just had this whole skit in my head where the dude was just talking like, hey, come on, we got to do this. We're a team.
Cheerleaders and stuff. Yeah. Golly. I ain't doing it. Not. Stop it, Mel. Stop it.
We'll title the skit "The Sex Pep Rally."
Kind of on that note, I was just reading this thread about the best songs to have sex to, and somebody said anything from a live recording, because when people start cheering, you're like, they're cheering for me.
Oh wow.
I don't know.
Oh man. All right, so we got all right, family. Thank y'all for joining us tonight on At the Roundtable Podcast Show. We've got people chiming in. There's a series of questions. Shouts out to Terry, who just joined us. Hey, my daughter. I hope you well. Trav Perry just joined us. The man himself, Mr. Trav Perry. He has two questions. First one is, what are the key factors for a woman to have an orgasm? And is it true a high percentage of women never have a real orgasm?
Excellent questions. Okay. I'll answer them in the reverse. High percentage of women do not have orgasms. That was his. So first you have to understand that a woman's orgasm is different from a man's orgasm. By that, I mean, this is a major generalization, but men typically feel the same kind of orgasm. Like it's the same pow. It's the same, what's the word I'm trying to say? It's
kaboom.
It's the same kaboom. It's pretty much the same every time. For women, we can have small ones, big ones, out of body ones, lots of different ones. Ones that are not super intense, but they last a long time, or ones that are just 3 seconds long, but they are through the roof, lots of variation in a woman's orgasm. And so he's asking about percentage. So with that in mind, the stimulation to get a woman to orgasm, that's where the confusion with the percentage comes from, because so less than 20% of women are able to orgasm with only vaginal stimulation. And the vaginal stimulation that they're talking about is typically hitting the G-spot. But the G-spot is actually clitoral stimulation, but you're just reaching it through the vagina. So it's all clitoral stimulation with those two anyway. There's also, I don't know how many words I'm allowed to say. I don't want to get censored or flagged, but there's also other holes and things that can give you orgasms. But so clitoral stimulation is basically your ticket to her orgasm. And so women who are able to orgasm through the vagina, aka through internal clitoral stimulation, less than 20%. It goes up to, I want to say 80-something% when you throw in clitoral stimulation. So it's hard to answer the percentage one, because it's what are we talking? Which stimulation are you talking about? Having said that, a lot of women still have a hard time finding their climax, and that's my specialty, is women's sexual health and intimacy and pleasure and orgasm. So I talk a lot about her body image and like the messages that we're given with like all these like she comes first, after he comes, sex is over, or he's supposed to give her the orgasm, or shouldn't have to use toys during sex, or you shouldn't have to use lube. Like all of these horrible messages we receive that put pressure on us to perform well, to orgasm quickly, and audibly and make a big deal out of it, so he knows like even the way we orgasm is judged. Like, come on.
Yes, you're my Superman. Yes.
I know. Right. So a lot of women end up faking it, and then he thinks that the way that whatever he was doing is the way to do it. So whatever. So there's a lot that goes into her climax, but the technique to help her come is focus on her clitoris. Focus on her clitoris. Do not be afraid to use toys or lube. Vibrators work wonders on the clitoris. Yeah. And make sure she's comfortable and relaxed. Don't skip the foreplay. Don't skip the foreplay. The foreplay is the sex. That's what you should think. Sex is foreplay with a grand finale at the end. Women take on average 20 minutes for her to get totally mentally and physically turned on. And that's very, very important, because if she's not fully turned on physically, she's not going to be fully lubed up, or if we're talking about the over 40 crowd, so she may be having a hard time producing lube on her own, because not her fault, it's just how her body works. So, it may take a little bit longer, and you don't want to rush the process, especially when there's not enough lube or she's not fully prepared, because there could be rips and tears and pain, and like we don't want any of that.
Almost like having to let your car warm up and let the oil circulate through the engine first before you take off in it.
Yes.
Listen.
Exactly.
I'm agreeing with you.
Go ahead, A-Money.
I just want to say to the men out. Well, I hate saying that because I don't want to exclude anyone, but I just want people to know, if you have a female partner and you are not a person for foreplay, your foreplay needs to be all day. So you need to send her, maybe a gift. You need to send her like a little naughty message, text message, or, do something out of the ordinary just to kind of let her know where you are. So now she's thinking about it. And even if she plays you down like, oh, whatever, blah, 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 she's gonna, be thinking about it like, oh my God, like, I can't believe he said that, or I can't believe she said that. Like, oh my, everybody wants to feel special. Everybody wants to feel desired and wanted. And women, in a heterosexual relationship, I cannot stress the importance of you being the initiator sometimes, surprising them. Some women kind of get into this box where they're like, well, I'm the woman, so he's supposed to do. Like, you probably would get such a better performance if you were to surprise your dude, or send him a little text and he's like, wait a minute, what is she? Hold up, or call him at work, interrupt the day just to be like, I just want to let you know I want you when you get here. Like, do you think a dude's not gonna respond to that at 5? He might come home early,
Right.
Ain't no overtime that day.
Ain't no OT that day, right? So I'm a person who, I'm very sexual, and I think that sex should be fun. I think that it should be free. If you gotta like work for it, and I'm not talking about setting a mood or evening or a stage or whatever the case, but like if it feels like a task to get your person in the mood, yeah, I don't want it. I'll just, just sit and rock or exercise because it's too much. It takes the whole fun and the whole enjoyableness that I like out of it. And I think sometimes a lot of people feel that way. Like the mate is so like trying to make them work for it. You're killing the mood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You bring up a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I just wrapped up a 12-week coaching package with one of my clients. And it's funny because I just spoke with her at 4, and she made incredible progress. And she had she's under 40, but she's had a lot of similar issues that we're talking about. And I just, I was like, look, you gotta both be flirting. I mean, you're married, but you gotta still be flirting. You can't just say, ignore each other or be like, act like roommates or whatever to each other, and then have to be like flip a switch, like, oh, we're gonna be sexy with each other now. So you can't just flip that switch. You gotta intertwine that that connection throughout the day. You can't just be like, okay, now I'm going to tap back into my sexuality that's been dead for the last week, or month or whatever. You got to keep that connection open, like you're saying. And Melissa's right, that's totally a form of foreplay, because you're planting the seed in her head or his head, because you're right. You should be, if you know you want to have sex, don't expect him to read your mind and do the initiation. You do the initiation too. I feel that's what my client worked on, exactly that. And she said they went from having sex maybe 2-3 times a month to 2-3 times a week. So.
Hey.
All right now.
Congratulations. Woo, woo.
Yeah.
Flirting and initiating when you want. Well, she did a lot of stuff, but yeah.
Check this out, y'all. We've got some comments. Robert said, be like a good wine. It gets better with time. Better put that woman first. I make mine happy and she makes me happy. A good understanding is the best thing in the world. And then we just got another one. Trav, he dropped in knowledge as well. Trav says, when a man's confidence meets a woman's trust and vulnerability, the magic happens.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. We got a question for you. Is it true that if a woman has a lot of sexual partners, that it affects the tightness of the vagina?
Think about it this way. If 2 different women, same age, start having sex, let's say 18, and they have sex the same amount of time, but this one has sex with 100 different partners, 200 different partners, and this woman has sex with the same person the same amount of time, you think that their vaginas would be different? I mean, I don't think so. No. That has nothing to do with your partner's, the amount, the size. It doesn't have anything to do with it, except like in the moment, sure, you may be stretched a little bigger or whatever. That makes sense. But no. You're not gonna lose your tightness from sexual partners. Not like that. Not in that sense. With age, your whole body loses elasticity over time. So that naturally will sort of do the same thing. But tightness is, that's about your pelvic floor muscles. So in your pelvic floor, you've got all these crisscross inner workings of muscles. And as they cross this way and that way and flex, they tighten and squeeze around the vagina. So that's your tightness. It's not your actual vagina. So, and there's things you can do for that. You can do Kegel muscles and exercises and whatnot. So no, don't worry about it. You keep doing you.
The same lie about if you have babies.
Right.
It's the same lie. It's the same lie. I feel like people don't understand that our sexual organs are muscles. They're tissue. Everything that happens to the muscle and tissue in your body happens there. And the same things that you do to tighten or to keep them firm, you can do those same exercises with your sexual organs. So we have a lot of stuff that society has put on us. I know I had to have a partial hysterectomy, and I was like, so nervous that, once it became time for me to be with my husband, that it was going to feel different, that it was going to not be enjoyable, or like, whatever. Because I don't care how educated you are and how much you read, and you have Liz and Charlie as people that you can reach out to, you do get in your own head. Like, oh my goodness, I'm nervous. And I was one of those women that was really nervous. Like, am I going to be prepared? Am I going to be moist? Am I going to be loose? I had all of these questions, and a lot of women go through that, thinking that it's going to change, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Good point, Anthony. Tell each other what you want and what you like, and explore.
True that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me read this one. Terry said, sex is like a dirty word right now, and I'm not trying to have any more babies. I'm pretty sure I just had a baby the last time you were here.
We keep it real on at the round table.
So what you're trying to say is Liz's fault? I don't think Liz was there. I think it's
glad I could spark the intimacy.
Oh, good question, Trav. Okay. Trav dropping big questions.
Mm-hmm.
True or false? Ovulation is the woman's body telling her that it's time to have sex. And that is the true time that a woman is at her most horniness. Outside of ovulation, she has sex only to satisfy her man.
I don't know what kind of women you were talking about.
So women do naturally feel hornier when they're ovulating, and also right before their period starts. It's their body saying, during ovulation, it's their body saying, you're extra fertile right now. Please fertilize this egg, So that's evolutionary. I mean, we have to. That's how we continue our race. So, and then right before the period, it's like, you're about to lose this egg. Are you sure you want to do that? Go have sex. And then as far as she can be horny anytime during her cycle at all. During her period, in between ovulation and period, during any moment, she can or may not be horny or interested at all. That's all.
That sounds like one of those folk tales that we just got done talking about. Like, oh, well, she only gonna want to do it when she ovulating, or or not saying you, King Trap, but there are men that have bought that ticket from a woman. Well, I'm only doing this because I want to please you, because I only really want to have sex when da 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 da. Like, you know what I mean? Like the manipulative things and handles, which is my third question that I got from a person. She feels that sex was enjoyable when we were dating. I married the love of my life, but I started to feel that sex is a way to manipulate me, either into giving it when I don't, or feeling guilty because I just want to sometime cuddle.
We said earlier, sex is a personal thing you choose to give to your partner. That's how it should be always. Sometimes we choose to give it when we don't really want the sex, but we do want to connect with our partner, or give ourselves to our partner like that. I would say, if you do that, don't say, I'm doing this just for you. I don't get it, because then that takes it away from them. And then that was said to you, do you really want to continue if your partner is not into it? I mean, probably not. So hopefully not. So she should have a conversation with her partner. I can't remember if you said this was a woman or not. Whoever it is, they need to have a conversation with her partner and just say straight up, like, look, my libido isn't matching you right now. I don't want to turn you down and feel bad about turning you down, or make you feel bad about, being rejected. And I don't want to feel like I have to do this like chore sex or obligatory sex.
Right.
this is
unless you're into that kind of thing.
Unless you're into that. Right. So this is the kind of thing where I would really, really encourage. This is the couple where I would like step by step, like, okay, let's look at your intimacy. Are you being intimate outside the bedroom? Are you, what's your daily life like? Maybe this person who had this question is not feeling like she wants to have sex because she's got all these other stressors. Maybe she doesn't realize why she doesn't want to have sex, and pinpointing that and naming what that is will diminish the problem. Sometimes it's as simple as that, really. Definitely have a conversation with your partner and just see how they react. Sometimes it's received in a very loving way to where they're not going to continue to push and initiate. And they might say, okay, I get that, ball's in your court. You let me know when you're ready, or how can I help you? What's your boundaries for right now?
Mm-hmm.
You set temporary boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries are good. A lot of people are afraid of boundaries because it's like rules.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, we've been taught though, when you're married, there is no boundaries. There is no rules. Like, I mean, back in the day, honestly, come on. A man felt he was entitled to sex anytime he felt like it because you guys were married. And women feel like, oh, well, something must be wrong with him because he's not in the mood. Like, a man isn't just ready to go just because you're ready to go. Like, it doesn't make anything wrong with him, or it doesn't make him that he's not into women because he's like, yo, I'm just not in the mood. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you, because I think that's a misnomer. That men are always, and that's another thing that I think has been a myth as well, that's all men think about is sex. Of course, we can go back and we talk about, men are hunters and women are comforters and they take care of the home and such. But there are times that men, we take on the weight of the world, and sometimes there are so many things that are going on with us that is the last thing that's on our mind. We're worried about the bills. We're worried about the, making sure that, the mortgage is taken care of and the car is working for you, and, everything is doing well. And then we have to be the disciplinarian and things of that nature. So at the end of the day, when we say we're tired, I think sometimes women look at it like, you tired? And they automatically think that men are supposed to always be ready for sex, or you must be cheating with somebody.
So I got a part B to A Money and CD. Having that moment of, kind of, I got something on my mind. I got something else that's pressuring me. And your partner, your wife, whoever has come to you and said, hey, what's up? And you're like, I need a little boundary. I need a little space. I'm just not there mentally. Give me a moment. At what point do you, I don't want to say you personally, but do you think that a man can then say, oh, you know what? My partner came to me and wanted to be close with me, and I put them down. So is that also still a pin? I know you got a lot on your mind, but do you still be like, okay, that's a priority now. I need to make sure I work through this, or I work past that, so I can, like, how long should that go on?
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I think with any issue, with any couple, the best way to act after you have that conversation and you talk about what are your wants and needs, what are my wants and needs. Okay, cool. We have a game plan, or at least it's put out on the table. I think the best thing to do in any situation is show your effort, even if it's small effort. If your partner sees that you're trying, or that even if it's vocal, even if it's like, hey, I know I haven't been very, touchy-feely with you, and you've been wanting cuddles. I got this work stress. I hear you. I see you. I want this. I'm thinking about it. Let's spoon on the couch tonight. Even if it's just like talking through it like that and telling them like, look, I appreciate everything you're doing for me. I owe you. I'm on my mind. But at what point? Just show your effort immediately, and That is a hard question to answer because that's very circumstantial.
Yeah, and I don't think it's like, oh, 5 days is something wrong. Like I'm not expecting that answer, but I think my real question is what you just said. The immediate effort needs to be shown to say, hey, I hear you. I can't provide the prize, but I will do X, Y, Z. You know.
Yeah. And I think that's helpful for both sides as well, because you can't put like a time limit on it per se. But I think the communication and just recognizing that, here's an issue or here's something that's going on. It almost goes back to that last time when we had a show together and Liz and Charlie were talking, and it's about quote unquote the love language. And it's about understanding each other. And especially with this topic that we're talking about, like sex after 40, or can you be sexy after 40? It kind of alludes to that, because after 40, when the kids are out of the house and, you're seeing more of each other, there is a kind of reset. And then it's kind of like, well, you got to go back on, well, what is her love language? Do I automatically assume that she's going to do this and do that and blah, 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 or I'm automatically going to assume he's going to do this and that? And it's kind of like after we had that communication and that discussion, we kind of set some goals, I guess, to get back into the flow of things. And it very well may be, while you was over there taking care of the kids and stuff, I was down here doing 2 jobs and grinding. Well, guess what? Now the kids are gone. I don't have to grind that hard. So now I need to rear back. And then you do your thing as well. And then let's come back and let's be that dream team again, I guess. If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
It kind of takes some time. I know we had to kind of do that as well. And it is, and I think we talk more now than we did when the kids were here and the running around and things of that nature. We now are with each other, and we have to have that type of dialogue. And we kind of uncover some stuff that was like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that. But it's that love language we're trying to establish again. And it's been pretty cool. But it's that one thing that assuming, I think a lot of couples kind of automatically take for granted. And I'll tell you guys a funny story. And then Trav's got a question. But I remember talking to a couple. There's a girl that used to work with me. And she used to, believe it or not, her and her boyfriend, they just would be at odds with each other. I mean, just at odds. And they used to actually, like, they would go to bed mad and go sleep in separate rooms. But then if they felt like, if they would go in there and just like demand, we gonna have sex now, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how do you do that? It's not that intimacy that you were saying, Liz. It's more of a, I guess, doing the job or doing the business. Like,
it's a release. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just a release.
Yeah. That can be the passionate heat of the moment, the makeup sex work very well for a lot of couples. But if that's what's being used to make up every time, that's when sex is you're using sex for manipulation. I mean, not consciously, hopefully, but that's when you need to like step back and be like, all right, what's going on here? Maybe we should actually talk through the problem, Yeah. But I don't want to invalidate the makeup sex though, because that can be very good for a lot of couples sometimes to be like, oh, we were fighting over something stupid. We just were, sexually unsatisfied.
Which kind of leads to this other question. Adrian, you want to read this one off? Or anybody?
So Trav Perry says, what advice do you give a couple that has one person against oral sex in 2021?
Just got that question, Liz. So we got some people listening.
All right. 2021. I'm gonna assume you put 2021 because of COVID as well, and like that whole scare, maybe. I don't know. But people against oral sex. Do you think they mean Do you mean like you don't want to give oral sex, or your partner doesn't want to give you oral sex, and how to navigate that? Either way. If you don't
elaborate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, I got one more for you. I had seen this one posted somewhere. I'm kind of curious your thoughts on how you would handle this. But it was a young lady that says that she passes gas during orgasms. How should she go about approaching her partner or soon to be partner and let him know that?
Yeah.
And is that natural?
Well, I'll say it's not unnatural. I'll say that. It's not good or bad. It makes sense because all of your muscles are contracting. So if there's gas in there, it's going to come out. I would invest in like some gas X and maybe take that before, maybe a few hours before sex or something. Letting your partner know, sex can get real dirty. So if they're willing to engage in this with you, hopefully they are not going to be that weirded out by that, because there's a lot of other stuff happening. Bodies are bodies. But letting your partner know, I mean, I don't think you really need to disclose that. I don't think you need to have a sit down and be like, hey, just want to let you know we're making out. It's heavy.
Guys, can you imagine?
In my mind, I'm sorry, I gotta get this out. In my mind, I'm thinking if you said, baby, we're going to Aztec restaurant tonight, she'd be like, no. No Taco Bell, no quiero Taco Bell.
No queso for you.
Wow.
Yeah. A man receiving that, Liz, it's like, okay.
I don't think it's something you need to disclose to your partner beforehand. I think it's like pop some Gas X or Pepto-Bismol or whatever works for you, and maybe say a little prayer, and you know what? Let it go. Who cares? If they're not into it, then next.
Frozen. Let it go.
I think I answered one about oral, though. I do want to quickly.
Yeah. I think he elaborated on it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the sign of the time, meaning older generations may have been against that.
I'm not sure I understand.
So older people, I guess what he's saying, like older people, feel like that's something that you just didn't do. They were very sex was sex, missionary, that's it, like all that other stuff. So now there are some younger generation people that are the same way. Like they don't believe in oral sex, or they don't feel like it's something that's necessary all the time, or whatever the case. So
yeah. Okay. If you're not into a certain sex act, like oral sex or anal or whatever, it's a preference. You can definitely say, this is one of my hard limits. This is a boundary for me. I'm not going to cross it. I'm not into it. If that's a deal breaker for you, then, nice meeting you. But if you like this person and you don't want it to be a deal breaker, do what you got to do. Like maybe if sometimes for oral sex for people, it's a hygiene thing. And they're like, I don't know, it's like, all day. And then you go down there, it's a little swampy, So maybe take a bath together. That's that's foreplay, or take a shower together. That can be very like sexy foreplay, and then it's the hygiene thing, then you're taken care of there. Or sometimes it's diet. So maybe like cook for them and give them a healthier diet. If you're just simply just not into it, then know that about yourself, and that's just how it's going to be. But understand that a lot of people want that openness, or at least being game to try. There are other ways too. If your partner would like for you to perform oral and you're not really into it, there are other ways to, like, you're down there and you're like half oral, half manual help. So there are kind of ways around it where you can kind of like sort of fake it till you make it.
I was going to say, fake it till you make it.
Don't be afraid to use lube. If you're not into giving oral, a lot of the appeal in oral is the spit and the warmth and the all that. So if you have lube and you just lube up like your hand or something, and you're down there and flicking with your tongue or whatever, but like you can use a lot with just lube in your hands to simulate a similar feeling of oral and like supplement with your mouth as you are comfortable with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, generationally, no.
Thank you, Trav. He said, hey, I just want to let you know I start farting when this thing gets to jumping. LOL.
Trav said that's why I need to just put it right on the table. Boom.
Go ahead and let him know. Nice little dinner date conversation. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I cannot.
Yeah, thanks, Trav.
Never a dull moment with this topic.
I think there's a lot of women and men that are scared to come up to say, I don't know how to do. Like, I think there's a lot of people that are 30 plus that have had intercourse, but they haven't had like the pleasure of doing different types of sex acts. And so the 30 plus crowd, 40 plus crowd, feel uncomfortable going to someone to ask them, hey, I want to start doing this with my partner, but I don't know how, or I don't know how to get into it. Or look, I just want to know what it is. Is there some place to go that can give me how to do it? And I think that's kind of like keeping their sex life stagnant. Like, until I hit this area in my life, I didn't know so many couples struggle with sex, like being fulfilling or being frequent, fun. It's a lot of people out there. So guys, Liz is, we call her sexologist. We have her on the show regularly because we want to give you that safe place and resource to go to say, hey, I'm having some issues with this. I'm struggling with this. I need to know. We make jokes and we laugh, but it is something that's happening in a lot of relationships right now, that there's a flat patch in their sex life. So
definitely, especially with us being stuck home together. If you have been, both working from home or quarantining together and you're seeing each other all the time, you're a little desensitized to them, or maybe you're getting on each other's nerves and your intimacy plummets. There are ways to get it back. And yes, I'm happy to talk to anybody. Seriously, any question. I'm desensitized. You can't surprise me with a question, I promise. If you do, I'll give you $100 or something. It takes a lot to. It doesn't take a lot. It's very important to keep sexuality at the forefront of your mind when you're thinking about your health and wellness, and also the health and wellness of your relationship. So, definitely talk to somebody, me or a different sexuality professional, or a therapist or somebody else who can refer you to a sexuality professional, doctor. And as far as getting into something new, there are tons of resources to teach you about. If you're interested in kink, you want to get into like BDSM stuff. Like there's a whole bunch of information on how to just get into it. Like where to even start if you want to, if you're talking about doing something that's not vanilla. So just endless resources. And I'm always happy to talk to somebody. So looks like my website got popped down there. So LizMallers.com is my website. And I'm active on Instagram at Liz the Sexpert. And I have a Facebook too, although I'm pretty bad about it.
Oh my goodness. I just thought about her saying vanilla. Like, what if you had to have ice cream describe your sex life? What would your sex life flavor be? We need to put that question to see what we get.
I like that question.
I'll do it right now.
Yeah, let's hear it. Oh man. I don't know if you're asking me personally, but oh.
Oh, I'm scared. You might have.
I don't know. I want to hear what everybody else has to say. Not as yeah. That's a good question, though. And it's funny because vanilla is such a good flavor. I do love it.
It is. It's my favorite, and I can't even eat ice cream.
Right.
There is oh, Jenny, I think, does a nice vegan one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it's real good too. It's real good.
Sorry,
it was funny.
Jenny.
Tina said, "Lord, what did I walk into?" Tina, you came into. Yeah, this is a great show right here.
Yes.
Which we're talking, with our, sexpert Liz Mallers. Get her on, and she always shares with us, and she dispels so many myths and kind of gives us an idea about sex, especially sex after 40.
Mm-hmm.
Liz was the one who came up with the topic. Oh my goodness, really? Oh, we got our first answer.
Butter pecan. Okay, butter pecan.
All right, pecan. Anybody else want to answer on our little group right here, as before we leave?
I got a text message. I'm not gonna say who it was, but they said that their ice cream flavor would be the bunny tracks.
All right now.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Doesn't that one have the little chocolate cocoa?
Yeah, it kind of got like a little variety of stuff in it.
Ooh.
Oh, trash.
Oh.
Wow.
Hey.
It's the exotic himself.
Hey.
Wow. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That sounds like the coffee THC infused ice cream to me in sex form. Sounds like prolonged, like enjoy the ride, very like taking your time, Ooh,
caramel praline and cream.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yum.
Yeah. What did you start, Mel?
I know, right?
I like that question.
That's a very good question.
Well,
y'all have to answer. We all have to answer before we leave. It would be remiss if we did.
I don't know a lot of ice cream. They got so many now.
Mm-hmm.
The Bob Marley, Ben and Jerry's Bob Marley.
Okay, that's a good one.
Jeez. What was y'all Marvel heads and Infinity Wars? What was the one that Doctor Strange hang around that he told the Hulk that he has his own ice cream?
Oh, he said this. What was it? Smash? Was it Smash and Hulk? The Hulk ice cream flavor?
Yeah, it was a certain name though. I can't think of it right now.
I think it was the Burner Hulk of Love. Was that it?
Something like that. We'll roll with that.
Hulk Burner Love. Okay. Mel said she was Bob Marley.
Ben and Jerry's Bob Marley.
Okay. Hulk Burn Love.
That Liz? Was it. It's Hucka Burning Fudge.
Okay, Hucka Burning Fudge.
There you go. Thank you.
I think my favorite flavor is Chunky Monkey, the vegan one, since I can't have it.
Yes.
Except I haven't seen it in stores. But for the question though, I think I'd go with mint cookies and cream.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Mhm.
Refreshing. Like that.
Mm-hmm. CD,
Yeah, stop dancing around it.
quit dancing
Yeah,
around the
no,
edge.
I'm a Chunky Monkey.
Chunky
There's
Monkey.
Chunky Monkey. There's a place in South Park that does homemade ice cream, and my wife and I, we were staying in that area, and they made their homemade vegan Chunky Monkey. We fell in love with it. So Chunky Monkey.
What is this place called?
Oh yeah,
Liz,
I'll get you
get
that
your plate.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that place. I'm gonna go buy a gallon or 5.
I know, right?
With a whole freezer just for vegan Chunky Monkey ice cream.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do the vegan because the lactose-free ice cream is horrible. That whatever app that they're putting in it, so I gotta go straight vegan ice cream now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so quick shameless plug. There is Breyers, and they do a vegan ice cream, and it's made out of almond milk, and they've got the mint chocolate, they've got the cookies and cream, and then they've got the chocolate with dark chocolate pieces in it as well. And if you go to Harris Teeter, sometimes you can buy it, and they'll have a buy one get one free. Usually like every 2.5 weeks they'll do it. Very good. Very, very good. Oh, Tina's got a good response. She says, y'all, I used to be extremely shy talking about intimacy. My ex used to make me say words that has anything to do with intimacy, and I literally would just giggle the whole freaking time like a crazy person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would blame the society you're brought up in for that. You were taught to feel, bashful and giggly about it, and it's definitely a learning curve. I mean, your intimacy with yourself and with your partner is something that changes over time, like we talked about. And the more you learn, the more you feel confident in it, and the less foreign it feels to you. So that's okay. Be kind to yourself. It's okay to be giggly. Sometimes sex is funny. Sometimes people fart during sex. Sex can be funny. Sometimes you get a foot cramp in the middle of the position and you have to stop, stretch it out, and do something else.
That probably has been my most epic, embarrassing moment. Whew. And I'm like, whew. And I know his head was getting big, and boom, no, stop. I have a cramp in my leg. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold up, stop.
Oh, she's wrong for that.
I did not mean to crush his ego, but no. This has nothing to do with you. I have a cramp in my leg. Stop. And then I'm laughing on top of that. So it's like, what is going on with you?
The worst, the worst is when the cramp happens when you're right there, though, and you're like, oh, do I ride out the cramp?
Yep.
Or do I start over?
Yep. Go right out. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to start over. No.
Right.
Anthony said, you know it ain't.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a step.
Yes, definitely. If your family or your parents or whoever raised you is not talking to you about sex, it's really hard to rely on the schools to give you good sex education. So who do you learn from? Peers, porn, media. And when you talk about it with your peers, it's all giggly and inaccurate.
Very inaccurate.
So yeah. But that's why I like teaching adults. That's why I do teach adults is, we all had, not all of us, but most of us had really poor sex education. So I'm coming in to help you unpack and relearn it the right way.
Right. That's right.
Yes, indeed. Well, y'all, it is that time.
Let me blow my candle out.
Oh.
No, not yet. Well, it's that time, y'all, which we really do hate. We have to go. But the cool thing is we're going to put information on here so you can contact Liz should you have any further questions, okay? And get rid of these myths and such and understand you.
Mm-hmm.
Love yourself. Love on yourself, and you can love others.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, thank you, Liz. Again, you just a member of the family. Y'all just don't know. We can talk to Liz about anything, and we have even before y'all got on the show. We were talking about all kinds of stuff. But again, if you have any questions, definitely we'll have the contact information on here. Share the show, y'all. If you don't mind, please share this show, because you just don't know. It may be somebody out there right now that has maybe these very same questions, and they watch the show and they're like, hey, maybe I'm not alone. Maybe I was thinking the wrong thing. Let me call Liz. Or, hey, I'm doing the right thing. Or, hey, I'm going to put the whipped cream away and I'm going to go get some, what was it, Mel?
Put the whipped cream away and get the whip.
Graduated from whipped cream to whips. Y'all heard it first right here on that Roundtable Podcast Show.
That was great.
But thank y'all once again, and thank you, Liz, once again, for joining us. You always have a seat here at the table. Go ahead and close us out, A Money. You do it so eloquently. Go ahead and throw that
I'm sitting up here looking at Tina's messages. All right, but she funny, and Terry. All right, you pretty much summed it up, CD. You continue to share, and we'll be back next week. And please continue to support, and we love y'all.
All right. See y'all later. Peace, love.